Road to Revolution by John Ellingson. Proclamation of 1763. King George III signed a proclamation that banned colonists from settling west of the Appalachian Mountains. It also demanded that settlers leave the Ohio River Valley. Most colonists defied this law. This angered the king and showed early signs of tension between the 13 colonies in Britain. Sugar Act, 1764. To pay for the British soldiers in the 13 colonies, the Parliament passed a law that said colonial merchants need to pay a tax on imported molasses. Most colonists evaded the law, and Samuel Adams encouraged the colonists to defy the British. The Quartering Act, 1764. The Quartering Act forced colonists to house and supply British troops. This angered the colonists, and the act being passed resulted in more tension between Britain and the colonies. The Stamp Act, 1765. The Stamp Act forced colonists to pay for a stamp or seal for paper products. The colonists disliked the law, but colonists who didn't obey were fined or sent to jail. This law was different from the Sugar Act because it directly fined the colonists. As a result of the act being passed, the colonists began to protest. A group called the Sons of Liberty defied the law and encouraged the colonists to do the same. A man named Patrick Henry presented a list of resolutions to the Virginia House of Burgesses. The Parliament responded by repealing the act, but passed the Declaratory Act, which stated only the Parliament could pass and repeal laws, no questions asked. Townshend Acts, 1767. The Townshend Acts placed duties on imported glass, lead, paint, paper, and tea. The act also made it easier for tax collectors to get writs of assistance. To enforce the act, British officials sent British soldiers to Boston. In response, the colonists used boycotts. The colonial legislatures passed letters protesting the acts. The Sons of Liberty attacked homes of tax collectors, and a group called the Daughters of Liberty used boycotts and other measures to support the colony's response to Britain. The Boston Massacre, 1770. Boston troops were sent to enforce unpopular taxations, but they fired on protesters when they felt they were being attacked. One person named Crispus Attucks was among the protesters and is regarded as the first death of the Revolutionary War. The Sons of Liberty passed a painting of the incident around the colonies to support negative American sentiments about British rule. John Adams and Josiah Quincy defended the British soldiers at the trial. In response to the Boston Massacre, the Parliament repealed the taxes on everything except tea. The Tea Act, 1773. Parliament passed a law stating that tea prices be brought down. This made some colonial merchants fear that they will be put out of business. The colonists responded with the Boston Tea Party. Some colonists dressed up as Native Americans. They then went into the Boston harbor and dumped tea out of trading ships. The Intolerable Acts, 1774. Parliament passed the Intolerable Acts to punish Massachusetts and to enforce law in the colonies. Five effects were: the Boston harbor was closed, the Massachusetts charter was canceled, royal officials accused of crime were sent to Britain for trial, the Quartering Act was more strictly enforced, and General Thomas Gage was the new governor of Massachusetts. The colonists responded with poems and essays critical of the British government, and colonial leaders proposed a boycott of all British goods in the colonies.